Hello. I've had a lot of questions recently actually about lead sheets. So I thought I'd talk about that a little bit. And the main question that keeps coming up is, how do I know what to do with my left hand? And the short answer is, you don't. This is up to your personal interpretation. But that's really not a very useful answer, so I thought I'd talk about it a little bit more. So for this, I'm just going to use Minka as an example. Minka is a short little Russian song. But this applies to all lead sheets. So there are tons of fake books out there or whatever. And this is part of what I think is the fun of being a musician and the fun of making my own interpretations or versions of songs. So now, just to start a little bit, we'll talk about what a lead sheet is. If you already know what it is, feel free to skip ahead and when we talk about what to do with the left hand. Right, so first off, Minka then. Short little Russian song, here it is. It's got 8 measures, and the melody as written in the lead sheet is just this, right? Right? And then you can see the lead sheet gives you, in addition to the melody, it gives you chords for the different measures. So this song has C minor and it has G7. So the question is now, how do we play those and how do we put that together with the right hand? So this song here is in 4/4, right? So one option would be to do something like an alternating bass, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 each measure. So when you put that together, then would be, right? Right? Or you could play the left hand as 8th notes instead, so it would be 2 notes here per note there, right? Right? Or you could just make one note. Either you could make it long or you could make it short. So I guess I'll switch here in the middle, but I'm playing the root and the chord together. So and if you think that sounds too heavy, you could just shorten this note, right? Right? Or you could do some other kind of funky bass rhythm, like, you could play 1, 2, 3, 4. The sky's the limit, really. It's whatever you think sounds good. And now, in the case of Minka in particular, it's a super short song, right? So if you perform it and you just play it once through, the performance would be over in 10 seconds or something like that, maybe 20. So you'd probably want to perform it and play it through a bunch of times, but if you're just going to play the same thing over and over and over, that's boring. So you might want to just switch it up a little bit, start one way with the bass rhythm and change it to something else. And if you wanted to go, really crazy or out there or whatever, and why not, you could also change it up to like a waltz rhythm or something like that, but then you have to change the rhythm of the right hand as well. There's no right way exactly. There's not one correct way to do it. There are many different ways of transforming this into a waltz. I mean, you could, instead of playing 4 quarter notes, you could make that into 2 measures of 3/4, right? And make the first note a half note and the second note a quarter note, right? So right? Or you could shorten it instead so that you're doing like 1, 2, 3. Right? Those are both waltzes. I'm sure there are many other ways of doing it as well. That's part of, you know, your interpretation and your flair. And now, I mean, while I picked Minka, which was a super simple song, this applies to like all the songs that are out there on lead sheets. And there's a gazillion of them on the internet. There are fake books or real books, or, you know, like all sorts of things out there. And playing around with, you know, how it sounds, that's part of the fun. That's part of adding, you know, your flair into the song that you're performing, right? So the way that I play any song isn't going to sound exactly the same way that you play that same song, unless you're following, you know, my arrangement exactly. But really, it's more fun if you make up something that sounds good to you. And that's part of the fun as the audience as well, to listen to it, because like if you go out on YouTube or Spotify or whatever and you look up any song, you know, like Minka or Fly Me to the Moon or, I don't know, Forever Young, like whatever song, you're going to find a lot of different people playing it, and all those versions and covers and whatever, they're going to sound different. But that's part of what makes it fun to listen to too, because, you know, if you wanted to hear Alphaville play Forever Young, you'd never listen to my version, because my version, it doesn't sound like Alphaville. And if it did sound like Alphaville, what would be the point? Why would you want to listen to me sounding exactly like Alphaville when you can listen to Alphaville sounding like Alphaville? You know, if you wanted to hear a different take on Forever Young, then, you know, by all means listen to what I'm doing, or what, you know, lots of other talented musicians out there are doing, and see what they do. And then, you know, when you play it, come up with your version and entice people that way. And whatever you come up with, if you think that it sounds good, then it's great. And I mean, yes, there is sheet music out there. These lead sheets are really just meant as a guide, as a little roadmap. They're making it easier for you to learn the song, because you don't have to sit and figure out what the melody is. You can read it off there. You don't have to sit and figure out what the chords are. You can read it on that sheet as well. But then you have to play around with it and see what you think sounds good when putting it together. So have a lot of fun, and if this is at all useful and you come up with anything, I'd love to hear what you do. Thanks.